Good Monday morning, guys. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. My name is Jerry Miller, and this, the Monday Market Monitor, presented by Realty, partners presented by Ally Property Management, Charlottesville Closure Title and Settlement Company, and just a fantastic program lined up for you guys on a glorious Monday morning, a chilly Monday here in the Commonwealth. Judah Wickhauer is our director, and why don't we go to the studio camera and welcome a true cast of characters who we have dubbed the sharpest dressed realtor in car, Mr. Christopher Eagle right here.
Thank you.
Looking quite
dapper. I beat you today, bro,
usual. I don't know. Christopher
I couldn't decide whether or not to put a jacket on, but I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need a jacket.
Always come a notch up, brother. Always a notch up. Always
He's looking good. We also have the catcher, Michael Plecker, minor league baseball player, salesman extraordinaire, and of course the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning. Got a little Joe going too.
Shandoah Joes, Dave Fafaro, we love you, my friend. Thank you for being a part of the Real Talk family here. Keith Smith, my friend, where do you want to begin?
You know, I think for the half a dozen people who do not know these two gentlemen to my right and to your left, why don't we just do a quick intro, and I'll let you start with Christopher, and I'll tag on Mr. Plecker here.
Christopher Eagle, the show is yours. Passions, hobbies, interests, beautiful wife, Radford graduate.
The answer better be passionate.
Radford.
Was it a Radford?
No, it's Ohio University.
Oh, Ohio University. I apologize.
The.
Well, so yeah,
But I got beautiful wife right.
Yes, that's 100% right.
Okay. I apologize about that.
It's all good. So yeah, I'm actually a Bobcat. I'm not a Buckeye. So I went to school in Athens, Ohio for college on a partial photography scholarship.
Nice.
Born and raised here in Charlottesville. Came back after college, didn't have any intention on staying in Charlottesville, and kind of got sucked back in. It's a little bit different as an adult now and not as a kid growing up here.
I bet.
But yeah, fell into real estate, stayed here, met my wife here, met at the Point Church, which is pretty great. My wife is 10 times better than I am, so that's all. I don't know what else to say. It does. It helps, but my wife's amazing.
Every single one of us at this table.
I would say that.
Oh, yeah.
Married up.
We outkicked our coverage.
Oh, yeah. She's crushing it over at Chick-fil-A on Pantop, so if anybody's in there, feel free to say hey. I don't know. I love cars, love Jesus, tattoos, guns, all the fun stuff.
You got some tats?
Yeah, I do actually.
How many tats?
I have 7 right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The key word was right now.
So are sleeves in the future?
I say yes, wife says no. So that's the debate in the Eagle household. We don't really argue too much except for the tattoo subject. Yeah. She's not crazy about them, and I love them. So we'll see what happens.
Stephanie Wells Rhodes, welcome to the program of the Interstate Service Company family. Stephanie, you have a couple tattoos, I believe, as well. One of the University of Virginia. Go Who's, and we certainly hope Brennan Armstrong is healing quickly, although that does look like broken ribs for Brennan Armstrong. I don't know what you thought about that injury, Michael Plecker. You see broken ribs there with Armstrong?
Well, he was the first one to indicate that he had a problem.
He pretty much said it on national TV, didn't he?
Rib is broke.
Yeah. Michael Plecker, introduce yourself to everybody.
Let's see, I am Michael Plecker, a native of Virginia, born in the Shenandoah Valley, born in the Shenandoah National Park. I am without ink, will never get ink. I'm going to go out with what I came in with. And been a resident of Charlottesville since 2005, but had a lot of fond memories growing up of my parents bringing me over here to visit for various things. I was enamored with the University of Virginia growing up, but quickly became a Hokie after I spent time in Blacksburg, Virginia, with my future beautiful wife, who's probably watching the show right now.
Hello, Mrs. Plecker.
Hello, Mrs. Plecker. But you also have a couple kids in tech right now.
I've got my oldest is a senior at James Madison.
That's it.
And she's going to finish up, and I think she's going to take a gap year and probably do internships and go on to graduate school.
Nice.
The youngest just started at Virginia Tech.
I can't believe she's about ready to graduate.
She's already ready to graduate.
Wow.
Yeah. So my wife and I have been spending quite a bit of time on Interstate 81, north and south, between Blacksburg and Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Christopher Eagle's already got a question coming in. Are you still running long distance from Mustache Dan Pennant watching the program? And Michael Plecker, we're going to leave those glasses alone over there, my friend. Let's leave those glasses alone. Christopher Eagle, are you still running long distance, my friend?
I have not run long distance since the end of 2019. COVID kind of made things a little bit difficult. I finished up.
Hold it. Running's outside.
No, well, I'm not.
Runs with people.
Yeah.
groups.
So normally, the last thing I did distance was a half marathon, but that was on top of I did a Spartan race. So that was the Spartan Beast, which is a half marathon, and then in the 13 miles, you're doing like 35 to like 40 obstacles throughout that. So I did that at the end of 2019, and then COVID hit, so there was plans to do other races in 2020, and then all that fell apart. And then since then, I have not I haven't done anything to look for races at all. So I'll probably tie the shoes back on at some point, but just I haven't done it yet.
So I need to walk back busting your chops. I did not know you did that Spartan half marathon thing. That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so in 2019, they call it the trifecta. So it's where you do the sprint, super, and beast races within a 12-month period. So I did all three of those in 2019 and crushed that and finished that. And then the plan was to do more in 2020, but that all changed. So I just haven't.
Remind me to call you Mr. Eagle from now on.
Sharpest dressed realtor in car. I think it's between Eagle and Mr. Matt Neese right there. That's the two sharpest dressed men in car. You welcome that moniker.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen.
Police works good too.
Michael Plecker, you're the catcher. My only catcher. I got nicknames for all you guys here.
You should tell a little bit about that. That's a super cool thing. I know you don't like talking about it, but you were behind the plate for the Mets.
Well, not for the Mets.
Their farm
not
system.
for the big show.
Yeah.
I was in Kingsport, Tennessee for a while, and a couple other locations. But started in 1985 along with Greg Jeffries, who was signed straight out of California.
I have his rookie card.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be worth a lot.
He was my second baseman.
Not worth a ton right now, though.
And I got to do some spring training catching, Port St. Lucie,
Very nice.
along with the big club. Of course, the pitchers and catchers were just commodities in spring training. I'm going to have you come down early before the rest of the club shows up. So it's really squatting behind the plate for, 4 hours a day, 90 degrees, and about 80% relative humidity.
Sounds like
that's
fun.
what we were used for. But got to catch some good guys. Yeah.
That's awesome. Michael Plecker, questions for Michael Plecker, Christopher Eagle, Keith Smith, put them in the feed. We will get to the questions here in a matter of moments. Gentlemen, we should talk market on the Monday Market Monitor.
Yeah, so what we do, for those who have been watching, we kind of take a look at week over week and see how things have been going. And as, for those who want to see more inventory, we're not going in that direction.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, it's the last 7 days, 63 came on the market, 112 went into pending. So,
Oof.
so it's almost half that number, almost pretty darn close to it anyway. I haven't done the actual percentage math on it.
That's good news for remodeling companies.
It's good news for remodeling companies. Good news for ISC.
Yeah, ISC.
ISC, and that was a great show to have them on, talking about all the great stuff that they do. So if you're looking to put your house on the market, ISC is the folks you need to reach out to. But 2 months ago, this was on par. We were having the same amount of homes coming on as going off, and a little tease for tomorrow. We're going to have Mr. Quentin Beckham in tomorrow to talk about the third quarter car report that came out and see what he can talk a little bit about
Awesome.
it. But this is almost a question I hate almost asking because we don't have answers to it. But does anybody see the inventory changing anytime soon?
I mean, there used to be market indicators or seasonal things that would happen.
Correct.
That you could almost plan what may be taking place in the next 3 months. I mean, beyond that, nobody has a crystal ball. But I mean, there used to be, tried and true things you could rely on, as far as like peaks in the market, and times of the year when you should list. That's all going out the window. In my perspective.
So you're saying, Christopher, and you guys, like the winter season is not going to be a slow season?
Well, I'm saying that people now are more mobile.
Yeah.
People have more flexibility in where they go, when they do it. They have money, but I've got people that I'm talking to now that say, well, I could live in Nashville, or I could live in Asheville, or I could choose Charlottesville. I can go where I want. And there's not enough for them to look at, to consider here at this point. So,
Christopher, how many
Chris?
years you been in the business?
5.
So what have you seen happen in the last 5 years?
I've definitely seen the market change pretty
Drastically.
drastically. Yeah. Well, I came in the fall of 2016, and then I would say more balanced market probably 2017 all the way through 2018, 2019-ish. And then, COVID made things crazy.
Yeah.
And then the seller's market, it's almost like we hit a seller's market and then we went worse, if that even makes sense.
How so? What's that? Explain.
Well, a seller's market is, to me, there's still a decent amount of inventory out there, and there's still, a sufficient amount of buyers, so it's not as crazy as it was for this year. And this year, it was just so little inventory and so many buyers and so many people just going after certain properties and, almost every property that's been on the market. And then from there, you're talking about multiple offers, fighting over the price, going however much over the price and everything. And then the price increases happen too, and the value of properties has gone up this year.
So, Christopher, you're in the millennial age group, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And you have conversations with your fellow folks your age. What's the office cooler conversation amongst folks at your age about the housing market? Because I guarantee you, when you guys get together, somebody first immediately starts talking real estate, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what does those conversations look like?
The conversations are, some people are, I would say, a little bit afraid to buy a house based off of seeing what the market has been like recently, as well as the value and the price increase, and knowing that people are going in with multiple offers and having to fight and potentially go X amount above the purchase price. I think also some people understand the whole interest rate and what's happening with that, and I would argue that some millennials also don't. So to me, it's hey, if you're looking at buying, you definitely want to do it soon.
Well, we're going to talk about this tomorrow with Quentin, but the report is, we're over 3% for the first time in a long time as far as a 30-year mortgage rate. So you and I kind of been in this business a little bit, more than a little bit.
9.5% in '94 when I started selling houses.
And how? So so compare between 3% and 9% in the selling process. It seems like a no-brainer to me, but
I guess it's all relative, because the people that are looking at 3% today, they weren't around when it was 9%. So to them, it's always been in the threes or close to 3.
My first one was 6 1/8.
Okay.
I still got that one on the books, and I thought 6 1/8 was cheap money.
It was cheap money.
I mean 6 1/8 is cheap money.
To get 6 1/8 in '94, you had to get a 2-1 buy down with a 3-1 arm, and you had to pay points.
So let's talk about that, because we talk about this on the show anytime, because people are starting to freak out about interest rates going up, but you just said the word buy down. So to explain what that is.
Well, the market sometimes will adjust. If the interest rates really start to tick up, and Janet Yellen seems to indicate, various people indicate that the interest rates are going to have to go up.
Yeah, they have to.
Because of where inflation is.
That's right.
So, what you see at 3%, if you show the same payment to a client at 3.5% to 4% over, say, the average of 10 years now, which someone is in the home, that's a substantial amount of cash. And in '94, when the rates were at 9.5%, there were all these programs out there to try to make it advantageous for someone entering the market to purchase a home, with the buy downs or the 80-10-10s or the 95 LTV products, lower down payment type products that were starting to be introduced. But then we all got in trouble because they got the no-doc loans out. And that's when it was all speculative at that point. So, but what I think there's going to be a real sense of what interest rates really mean to people as they start to see them tick up. I think there will be a lull in the market at first because it's going to frighten some, but I think they're going to see that the time may be now. You agree? You don't agree?
I agree, and here we go. Here's the politician. I agree and I disagree at the same time. So the pool is so deep. All the people that kind of get it will just jump in anyway. And until there's inventory increases, and we're going to talk about Breezy Hill and Glenmore in a little while on that end of it. And but at the end of the day, without the increase of inventory, the pool's just going to get a little shallower, that's all, and do that end of it. What do you think, Christopher?
No, I agree. I think, I understand Michael's point. I think there'll be maybe a small people that'll be a little freaked out, but I think for the most part, if you're already doing what you're doing and looking, the increase in interest rate's not going to impact you but so much. But if you're jumping into it as, the first time and you haven't been playing the game for the last 6, 8, 12 months, then it may make a little bit of a difference.
Well, you said the word inflation. I think that's what's going to hurt us more than anything.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do. I think inflation is, I was around in the 70s, and I remember what it looks like. And, I just filled up my truck today at $350 out at Lake Monticello.
So $100 to fill up my pickup truck now.
Yeah. Just get a smaller freaking pickup truck, okay?
I'm still a lot of time when I eat between colleges now. I need all the gas.
$100, Michael Plecker? $100 to fill up the truck?
$100 to fill up the truck.
Good night. I got a V6 Explorer, and yesterday it was flirting with 70. And I thought, good night. Now, I had it down to like 3 miles left before I ran out of gas. I don't know if you guys like to do that.
You like to play
No, I don't like to flirt with that, man.
I take
That's
it to as low as
crazy.
humanly possible. It freaks the hell out of my wife, but I'm totally fine with it. So $70 gas, $4 a gallon gas, excuse me. You think it's going to soften the hot markets that we see in Waynesboro, Stanton, and some of these outer counties, fellas?
Well, let's not scare them over there. I mean, it's diverse over. It's more diverse over there now than it has been.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always a blue collar factory area, farmer area, that sort of thing. And you're right. When commodities or goods and services and gas increase, the valley typically slowed down the quickest and pulled back.
But I haven't seen that in the numbers.
But I haven't seen that so much lately because
It's still kind of new in the phenomenon, though, of uptick in fuel. We're not super deep in it. Let's go 10, 15 months, see what's happening. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it's a conversation topic.
Sure.
Well,
no.
I think, and it's really scary, Jerry, because I literally do the same thing. I'm in Yona's car right now, and I got I think enough gas to get to Costco.
You're hoping for that hill.
And I have
So Forrest got out of the fence, and you're about to run out of gas in Yona's car.
and I have to pick her up tonight at 7 o'clock
Can
at
you
the
tell
train.
Yona is visiting the grandchildren, boys and girls?
Yeah, there you go. But it was funny, Jerry. Great. I was going to ask you because you're from the other side of the mountain. When we're flirting potentially with $4 worth of per gallon. I think by the end of this year, is that really going to have an adverse impact? Because that this is where the young folks are going, right? Jerry talks about the tree streets all the time. Chime in, gentlemen. Do you think this is going to kind of slow things down?
Tree streets in Waynesboro.
Tree streets. Yep.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They are. I mean, it's where the Waynesboro General Hospital used to be, up into the top of the tree streets there, and it's there's been some over the past several years, lots of investment in that area as far as renovations go, a lot of flipping homes on the tree streets, but it is it's a different market, but it is also changed to be, like I said prior, a little more diverse, and you've got people that live there and commute here. Gas will become a factor, so we'll see. It's
So, Christopher, where are you seeing most of your buyers these days? Where are they going? Folks your age.
My age? Man.
Well, any buyer, but
No, I want to hear what he
yeah.
has to say about this.
yeah.
Man, that's interesting.
aren't they still going to college at his age?
Gosh, man.
I got you 3 years back. I got your back when you need a baby. I got your back when you need it.
So this is like
Oh, that's
It's like old versus young or something, man. I don't know.
I strategically set it up this way.
did you?
I strategically set it up this way. I just want you to know.
gosh.
Everything is planned in this office, Keith Smith.
2.5 years. You don't think I know
I
that?
strategically set this up here. So where do you, folks our age, I'm a little bit older than you. Folks our age, where are they renting? Seeing most of them rent. You're seeing some of them jump in. The first-time homebuyers market is brutal right now, dude.
Oh, for sure. I would this year. I don't even think, other than one client. I'm trying to think my year here. I don't think I've worked with actually one first-time home buyer in 2021, except
Really?
for one right now. Everybody else has been, I shouldn't say a seasoned veteran, but somebody that's bought a house or sold a house before. Last year, I think there was a couple. I would say most of the people that are my age, Jerry's age, or even younger. I've had a couple clients that are, is that Gen Z?
Gen Z, yeah.
Gen Z, yeah.
That have bought homes and they've been like 20, 21 years old or something.
So that's such a pent-up demand. If you read the numbers from NAR, they're there. Your generation, your two gentlemen's generation, is 3 times the size. Are you a boomer?
I'm an Xer.
You're an Xer.
Yeah.
I'm the boomer. Then me. The really old guy on the end of the table. Excuse me, I have to take a nap now.
Well, to Christopher Eagle's point, a lot of the folks that are buying now need to sell the home to have the money to afford the next house.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the house, the savings is probably not deep enough to fight this battle. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yes and no, because COVID did help. People did save money from that
Yeah.
from that perspective. I see that from the land trust side of it. You know, we just sold 7 units, and I expected everybody to need help for it's a very low down payment. You know, and they all had cash. Every single one of the buyers, because they saved them whatever money they got from the government. They saved it. They, you know, not going out and eating. They saved it, and they had the cash to put into it, which was something I didn't expect to see.
Well, no, I was just going to say that, so this year, in the community that I live in, Fontana, 2 of the listings I have.
He's Mr. Fontana.
That's
Mr.
what we want to
Fontana.
talk about. We got
Yeah.
numbers. We
I
can talk
think
about
Plecker
that.
sells pan tops, so.
I like that.
That's good.
I like that.
I think,
Plecker.
Chris, you kind of coined that phrase, didn't you, or was it someone else?
I don't know. It may have been me. I'm not sure.
but
I
no,
thought
I-
you'd sell anything, but that's all.
The 2 of the first listings I had this year were actually on my street. Both, so one was, 525,000, the other was 540. The folks that bought those houses were both first-time buyers. And had 20% down.
How long ago did they buy this 2
That was in the
properties?
spring, and we had, you know, multiple showings, multiple offers, escalation clauses, which I just learned, by the way, you can't do in the state of North Carolina. No escalation clauses in the state of North
Ooh,
Carolina.
I did not know that.
I just found that out because I referred a client down to a Keller Williams agent down at the Outer Bank. She's looking for an investment property. She's in the middle of a 1031 exchange, and I was looking at the property with her, just kind of trying to advise her a little bit. And she said there are no escalation clauses allowed in North Carolina. Now that's what her realtor told her, so I'd have to assume that it's correct. But anyway,
Yeah, I'd dig into that. That sounds.
it sounds odd.
Yeah.
But anyway, so no, Fontana, we've had good turnover this year, and it's
Great neighborhood.
all been first-time buyers, new to the market.
I mean, you got the park right there.
Dardentown Park, you can walk to anything, shopping needs that you have. A lot of commercial development taking place in Pantops. You see the new State Farm headquarters. They've got a new $27 million investment from a sugar substitute company.
That's right.
Partner with Hershey over the mountain.
Michael Plecker bringing his A game right here. Let's acknowledge some of the viewers here. Pleck's getting some. Plecker sells Pantops is getting some props right now. Earl O'Brien. Nice job, Pleck.
Earl O'Brien.
Proud of you, man. He says.
know, Earl O'Brien was a fellow team member, baseball team member, in college. And Earl's a native. Earl grew up just behind the GE plant, up on top of the mountain back there, off of 29. Played at Admiral High School. Hey, Earl.
He's giving you props. This question from Mr. Dan Pettit. Dan, you ask good questions here. Donna Patton, we'll get to your questions as well. In fact, we have a handful of questions we have to get to. 112 pending. Any breakdown in the areas pending? How many at Lake Monticello? And what are price points on the pending areas?
So I didn't break it down. I was just looked at a big global look on it, and Mr. Smith is not smart enough to figure out how to do it on his iPhone. So I didn't break it down, but we'll take a look at it. I'll tell you what we'll start doing next Monday. I'll start breaking these numbers down a little bit more.
Multiple agents saying not sure about that escalation clause thing.
Yeah.
On the feed right here.
I gave the disclaimer on that because I was told by someone. So it sounded odd, but I'll have to check.
Yeah,
into it.
I'm not so sure that's legal all the way across
That you
the board.
can't. That you
I
can't.
don't
apply it.
know. Yeah, I don't know
So
about
multiple
that.
agents also saying what happens if the gas prices continue to go up? We touched on that a little bit. Outer County is a little bit soft potentially. Other side of the mountain potentially soft as people get further away from the epicenter of employment.
But that's everything. So we've been driving, and then we coin fly until we qualify, right? It's going to impact it, and I think as gas goes up and interest rates go up, look, at the end of the day, and everybody would, I think, at this table would agree to it, folks kind of buy to what they can afford monthly, right? And so if their monthly expenses are going up, fuel, for instance, it's got to come from somewhere, because salaries aren't matching, right?
This year, it's flat this year. I think last year previous, incomes were showing an increase. But I think this year it was flat as far as like the increase and what people are having expendable.
The Erpies taught us that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we knew that from college.
They taught me that.
Class. that is very true.
They taught me that, okay?
That is very true. Lisa Quattro, good job there, Mike. Giving Plecker. Michael Plecker's got a nice little following over there.
Hey man, they're all the Plecker groupies, I guess.
The Plecker groupies, I love it. Keith Smith, what neighborhood you want to tackle?
Yeah, I kind of want to tackle Glenmore a little bit, because it's been coming up quite a bit on it, and we talked about inventory all the time, and finally in the beginning of October, or the end of September, beginning of October, Breezy Hill got approved, and it's only 80 units.
Yep.
Charlie Armstrong,
and
Frank Bailiff,
and all single family detached,
Southern,
and they haven't released their product yet, but my suspicion is the units are going to be pretty similar to what Stanley Martin's selling in the back. They're going to have probably 8s in front of it. Nobody really knows it. And as an advocate for housing for all, I feel like an opportunity was missed there to try to create a little bit more inventory. I know Mr.
I have nothing to say about this. Nothing to say about this. I have firsthand intel on the association, and I have nothing to say about this. I will say this. We should stand up for the builders. A lot of people say, why are these new homes with 8s in front of it? It's because they can't help it.
Well, they can't.
You can put some perspective
Yeah,
into
because
this. Cost of goods, labor, land.
The acquisition on this particular parcel remained the same, right? And so, it's just economics 101, right? So if I only can put 80 in it, my per lot costs are going through the roof. My infrastructure costs, and most folks don't know, if I'm building a mile of road and I'm putting 10 lots on it, or I'm putting 20 lots on it, that mile of road costs the same.
Exactly.
And the water infrastructure is the same. The utility, all the utilities infrastructure is the same. It's not that incremental decrease. So when you double the lots, it compounds the decrease in the cost. And as we know, there's typically a 4-to-1, 5-to-1 ratio on what the lot costs versus the sale price. So they're going to be there. I didn't print out. I'm going to have to look on my trusty iPhone. But just so that you know, new construction this year over at Glenmore, the median sales price was $767.
And I need to emphasize this. I know that neighborhood quite well. That's my stomping grounds. The entry point, that number, does not include the bells and whistles.
No,
and all the
that's
tricks
a
and
median.
phonies.
That's kicking out the Highland.
Right.
But there were 76 closings.
The neighborhood's on fire.
76 new construction closings, solds in Glenmore in the last 12 months. 76. And we've had this conversation before, and those who have been around a while, you remember when Glenmore...
You couldn't give them away.
You want to talk a little bit about that history from your perspective?
When I first moved here, it was still sort of a destination community for a lot of folks who wanted to buy. You had a lot of longtime residents that were in there. And then it at some point it changed, and it seems like they all migrated to Pantops, because there's a lot of Highland Ridge folks that moved out of Glenmore. But that market, you started to have some of the older dated homes on the market, and it slowed down. And I saw price decreases.
Yeah.
In Glenmore, because the buyers today, they want turnkey, they want
bells and whistles,
and they want
sexy and shiny.
Sexy and shiny when they walk in.
Yeah. You should see the Halloween. It's not sexy and shiny. He pointed to himself.
Oh yeah.
He pointed to himself.
He got it.
Oh yes.
You should have seen the Halloween situation last night. You wouldn't even recognize it now. There was hundreds of kids under 7 years old. Hundreds of kids. It's like totally turned over.
Yeah, the demographics. I mean, it's
Yeah.
So I think that and it's the same in all housing markets. The downturns allow people to get in at some point, and everybody's on a different level of the bubble as far as price point when they want to move in. But that was a big turnover because before it was, like I said, it was.
Could give them away.
I don't want to get in trouble with demographics as a realtor. I'm not supposed to discuss those. But
You
yeah,
like
the
to try.
demographics change.
So when has that ever stopped you?
I know. I was going to say Michael Plecker.
Just saying. But it's interesting, and thank you folks allowing me. I didn't print this out to look on my phone. It's really unique. There was only 24 existing homes that were sold in Glenmore in the same 12 months versus 76.
It's on fire.
Just that's not normal.
Builders, I think, have always had an advantage.
And-
I mean, as far as
And the median sales price really isn't that different. It's $799 versus $770. You know, percentage-wise, it's awfully close on that end of it. But you know, that's a big difference. You know, almost 50 more units in the last 12 months were sold, and from what I understand, they're just about out. From the phone calls I made this weekend, there's not any more inventory.
Stanley and Craig are,
Yeah.
darn near close to out. It's total of 870 plus rooftop community, and there's just a few parcels of dirt left. Just
So
a
what that
few.
means now is probably Glenmore is going to stabilize again, you think?
Well, here's what, I mean, you guys are the experts. I just live there. I mean, Stanley Martin and Craig Builders has been just tailwinds behind the freaking neighborhood. I mean, they're building homes that are 2,500, 2,800 square feet on 0.14, and they're selling all day, every day with 8 pluses, 800,000 plus in front of it. So the folks that have the 0.5, 0.75, 0.9, and the 5,000 square foot homes, they're just watching this. And you legitimately, this is no BS, it's happened to us 3 times. I mentioned this to Keith. There are people in your business walking by homes, ringing doorbells, and cold calling us and saying, I have buyers. Do you want to sell your home? All cash, closing in 45 days. Some of them are contingency free. Cold call knocking on the door, contingency free, all cash buyers. I mean, think about that.
You've been raising your eyebrows this whole time, so apparently you've got something on your mind. What do you think?
Well, I was just laughing when Jerry said, I just share vegetables with my neighbors to get listings, so I don't knock I just set a bag of vegetables or taking their trash every day or whatever I have to do. But no, I raised my eyebrows because you mentioned a good point. Several years ago, before Highland Ridge even began, I was on the board at Fontana. I served on the board, managed the facilities up there, but there was a conversation that took place about the real estate market in Fontana itself. That was before Cascadia was developed, and Riverside Village, that was before then. But once Highland Ridge started selling, I noticed in Fontana, of course it was a different product, it was newer, but they were a little bit bigger. But they're just, bright and shiny, is that what you said?
Sexy and shiny.
Sexy and shiny.
Yeah.
And the market in Fontana itself really slowed down. People were driving right past us going straight back to buy the new homes. And I raised my eyebrows when you said, do you think the Glenmore market's going to stabilize once the sales? And I told them back then, I said, when Highland Ridge is done and all the areas where they're going to build new homes, single family homes, and Pantops is done, the value in Fontana will start to rise, and so will sales, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and that's ultimate.
And Pantops, I think, is just about out of dirt. Well, it's not out of dirt.
You got a little bit in Ashcroft.
A little bit in Ashcroft. That's a different market.
It is a different market.
I want to get Christopher in the conversation a little bit. So, new construction, right? We're talking new construction a little bit right now. I know you've done a couple of them this year, right?
Yeah, I got one happening right now in Glenmore.
In Glenmore.
You're representing the buyer? Very nice. Who's the builder? Can I ask that question?
Stanley Martin.
Okay, Stanley Martin. In the back?
Yep.
Off Carroll Creek.
Yep.
Very nice. Well done, dude.
So, prior to this year, how much new construction did you do? And what let's just talk about the difference between, from a real estate agent's perspective, or as Batman would say, realtor.
Donna Patton's watching. Be careful.
Hey, Donna. I know Donna.
She's got questions for us.
Yeah, Donna said.
So does Neil Weeps and Ray Cadell.
So, real quickly, what's the difference between helping somebody with new construction and existing, just from your perspective?
So existing, a resale, to me is almost like straightforward, if that makes sense. So I know we're going to go in, home inspection, earnest money deposit, appraisal, all that stuff. We can be done, depending on your search, how long it takes you to find a house and go under contract. You could be done, closed in the house within 30 to 60 days, give or take. New construction, you've got to kind of figure out what subdivision you want to be in.
Where is important.
Where.
Your
Also,
sales cycle's a lot longer.
yes, as well as which builder do they prefer? Which one do they like? Which one? Now, it all depends on, this is the production builder or custom home and all that. And then from there, they pick one, you start the process, you sign a ton of paperwork. And then really, for my clients this year, I think we signed paperwork in April, and we just sat and waited until August or September for them to actually start moving dirt and start the process. And then from there, you get the weekly updates. They make their selections early on in the process for what they like or what they want to put in the home and everything. And then from there, you just kind of keep pushing forward. And
So one of the things that's changed.
I got a question.
Good.
And this is, I don't know the answer to this. This is why I love this show. I learned so much from you guys. The path to commission with new construction, how does that work for representation for the realtor? Are we doing it at closing at the end, when they move in?
Yeah. So
yes. Yep.
Good night. I know that.
yeah. So we don't look. I had a meeting with some chief executives from UVA, and they said, geez, you must be doing really well. And I said, look, if I can't find a home for you to buy and close, I don't get paid. New construction, there's some new constructions Yona and I are doing that are not going to close, we know are not going to close until mid to the end of 2022.
Yeah.
And so there's a year and a half cycle until we get paid. And oh, by the way, all this work, and when new construction, that was what I was trying to lead the conversation a little bit, the workload is considerably more
Yes.
for a real estate agent on that end of it. So not only is it considerably more, you're waiting a substantial period of time to get paid.
Anything to add? And Michael, this is a space you know quite well as well. New construction.
Yeah, I mean, I was the guy in the model home for years, from 94 until 2000. After I'd worked every weekend and every holiday and about 70 hours a week for years, I decided to take a break from new construction. But that was one of the biggest complaints from realtors, and I think, at least back then from my experience, that they wanted to shy away from new construction because it was going to be 6 months before they got paid.
Oh, that's minimum now.
Yeah.
But as a new homes rep, you get paid half up front and half when it settles, typically, is how it worked then.
It doesn't work for the agents that way.
It didn't work for the agents that way, but the new home sales reps, you had to keep them going somehow. So we got half of the commission up front. When it closed, we get the other half.
Do you get home inspection in new construction?
Yes. So there's two different types of home inspections with new construction. It'd be the pre-drywall inspection. So once all the framing's in, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, all that stuff's in before the drywall goes up. Usually, I always recommend to do that and have that done. Have a home inspector come in, top to bottom, look over the whole thing, see if there's anything that they see and noted. And then usually end up having another walkthrough with the builder and going over things with the home inspection and what may need to be fixed before they put the drywall up. And then you do another home inspection weeks to months down the road, depending on how the build's going. Once all the drywall's in and they put in everything in the house that's supposed to be there, you do a second home inspection to make sure all that is.
So let's talk about that for a second. So pre-drywall, right? Yep. You do your walkthrough, you create a list, right? The list goes to the builder needs to fix it. Then typically the home inspector comes back, or you and the client or stuff like that, to make sure all the work was done. So that's a third inspection process through that. And then the normal final walkthrough is no different than a regular home inspection. So you basically get 3 sets of looks at it from that perspective to make sure that, because how do you know it's going to get done unless you verify that the work was done?
Yeah.
Ray Cadell, let's get to your question over here. Ray Cadell, we love when you watch the program. Ironically, just this morning, I got an auto email from Carr asking why a listing of mine sold for more than 10% above listing price. Somebody has told the computer to look into this. By the way, the listing sold in 2020. So he wanted to reference that. Neil,
It's funny, I got one this weekend too.
you guys probably got some bots over there that you got to get in check. Neil Williamson, though the developer attempted to get, this is about Breezy Hill.
Sure.
Though the developer attempted, and the developer is Charlie and Frank.
Correct.
Of Breezy Hill. Though the developer attempted to get increased density, the approved Breezy Hill project is a residential development in the development area with a gross density of 1 unit per acre. Is this sustainable? See the Free Enterprise Forum Density Denied white paper. That's from Neil Williamson right there. I can add to this. I'm going to tiptoe.
Yeah, I got it.
Add to this. I have never seen a more organized neighborhood effort and opposing this Breezy Hill development.
Oh, yeah.
You had legitimately C-suite, like CEO, CMO, CFO, some retired, some active, attorneys, bankers, financiers, galvanized, meeting a couple times per week in one location, face-to-face and over Zoom, drafting documents, plans of attacks, SWOT analysis. I mean, you legitimately had a few hundred people working for free to oppose this in the most strategic way I've ever seen.
And it still happened.
Well, it happened. It's by right, right?
Yeah,
essentially by right.
Well, no, it required a zoning action, so the board of supervisors needed to approve it. But for all intents and purposes, one would call it by right.
Right.
It's 80. I can't remember the size of the lots on it, but these homes will be equal to what Christopher is selling in the back as far as value goes. But the reason I threw out the question, what's going to happen next, because as far as I'm concerned, once that gets developed, I think that whole Glenmore envelope is done.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, and we have to answer Williamson's question about is this sustainable. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, he needs to quantify what he means by sustainable. I know what he means by sustainable.
I think what he means by sustainable means that how can the community continue to be affordable if we allow neighborhoods to be developed like this?
There you go.
That's what he means.
Yeah, good.
Isn't there a big time project a little up the road in the Louisa area that's kind of right on the cusp?
Well, that's a way up the road.
They have to use that channel to get into Charlottesville.
That's a way up the road, and if it's what I think you're referring to, that's not happening.
Okay.
That's not happening.
Hasta luego?
Yeah, that's hasta luego. Yeah.
Okay. There we
You're
go.
talking about the one that I was helping with? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it went the wayside because Fluvanna County can't commit for water up in there on that end of it, and they are a couple years more out before a sizable amount of water will come into the Zions Crossroads area.
So this question's coming in from Kelsey. She says, so you guys are saying there's no inventory on the market. Jerry has emphasized that there is a number of new businesses that are attracting employees and paying high-figure salaries here. What is going to keep affordability in check? We are certainly heading the way of San Francisco and Palo Alto here on the East Coast. Absolutely with UVA in our backyard. I mean, can anyone counter that comment? Christopher Eagle right there.
So I don't think so.
You want to try to?
I don't know. I don't know that I have an answer for it.
I don't see the square foot prices that we see in Palo Alto or San Francisco and
true.
Charlottesville. It's
Yeah.
all relative. I mean, it's a different income base, different demographic altogether there that's paying those prices. But yeah, we're headed in that direction.
And they also, even though I know that area well, how they can grow is somewhat limited. They're restricted by the mountains and restricted by water, big time by water.
Well, you're speaking of the California, and regulations.
And regulations too.
Are very expensive.
So what's going to happen is, since this opportunity didn't happen, Southern Development is going to do very well. There's these 80 homes are going to sell very quickly out there. It'll be, the Glenmore kind of area will remain to be this little enclave out there, it is what it is at this particular point. But what they're going to do, as Jerry kind of alluded to, they're going to be going out to Fluvanna County, Zions Crossroads, Greene County has a couple of big projects coming. There's a couple in the pipeline that nobody knows about that's kind of getting worked on a little bit in this area, and that's kind of where this is going to go.
Donna Patton says the increase in high-speed internet should help the outlying counties since people will be able to work from home and not have to travel. This should help strengthen the outer counties from a housing standpoint. I think that's well said.
I think so too. I've got a friend that is actually, his company is installing most of all the fiber, the Firefly internet access fiber throughout all of the rural communities out through there. So it has, there's studies that, he shared a few numbers with me, but the studies have shown, I guess, people are willing to consider those areas if they had that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think you're going to ultimately hit a hybrid in that because I'm talking to some other folks that they're saying, no, you need to come back into the office. I think you're going to start seeing 2022 that happening, but it's not going to be the wholesale, everybody's moving over. I think you're going to see a pretty decent residual left out. And Donna's 100% right, and that may offset this $4 a gallon or whatever's coming up. It may be enough. Nobody knows. This is all new stuff. You can't dig up a spreadsheet from 20 years ago and go, okay, this is what happened. This is all different stuff, right, Christopher?
Oh, for sure. I'm only 28, so I can't even speak too much on like inflation, really. I didn't live through the 70s. So
He's taking it back, isn't he?
just a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. This is definitely uncharted territories, I think, for not only real estate, but just a lot of us.
Let me ask you this. Where is the 40 and under buyer going to go?
Man, that's a good question. I think you're going to see a good push out to probably Fluvanna, Louisa, Greene County, Gordonsville area.
But it's not the age that's going to make the difference here. Let's just call it like it is. It's going to be the income difference. That's what's going to happen.
How much you can afford.
The income difference is oftentimes associated with the age.
I get that, but we just talked about a couple of first-time home buyers that came in to Fontana with the 5 in front of it, right? I would imagine they were young folks, compared to you and I anyway.
Everybody's getting to be younger than me at this point.
But Lake Monticello and Waynesboro, they're not secrets anymore. How many active listings are in Lake Monticello?
Oh, if Dan's or anybody's behind it,
They
can take a look at it. But I think a couple of days ago, it's under 20 for sure.
It's as competitive as you've ever seen it before.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
What is the next neighborhood that I would even? You get to the point where Lake Monticello is not even a first-time home buyer's market.
It hasn't been created yet.
So that's the key. That's the problem.
That's the key. It hasn't been created yet. It has not this new Lake Monticello. Just think about that. That's 4,500 lots.
Yeah.
Built in 1968 and 1969, before there were zoning ordinances, by the way, to go ahead and do that. That kind of project more than likely is never going to be reproduced again.
Well, that was going to be my question of where is a place to
we don't have any more dirt?
Yeah, to put at least, say, not even 4,500, but like 1,000 units or someplace.
Developers, I think, are scared of those things these days. It's such a long-term investment to get your money back.
The next Forest Lakes, Old Trail, Lake Monticello.
Well, we've got one with Southwood, right? So that's going to be around 1,000, 1,200, somewhere along that. Mixed income, which is really great. That's an exciting project on that end of it. But I feel like we're preaching to ourselves here. You're 100% right. I remember the first project I did, which was 150 lots, water and sewer, VDOT roads. From the time that I put a contract in it and put a bulldozer on the job site, it took me 6 months for all the approvals. Now it's 6 years.
Neil Williamson, in the Making Products post, I compare CVille to Santa Barbara, where in 2003, 30,000 service workers commuted to service the wealthy community. As my father said, it's for newlyweds and nearly deads. So here's the concern we all have, and we love you, Neil Williamson, Free Enterprise Forum president.
I'm stealing that one.
Here's the concern that a lot of people have, that Charlottesville and Albemarle County is going to be this bastion for the wealthy, and the really outer counties, you may be talking like Oilville. You know where Oilville is down 64?
I do.
It's going to be where folks that service Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville live and drive in to commute an hour plus to the epicenter of employment.
It's been that way. It's been that way since I can remember, since I've been in the home buying market. I would have rather have lived in Tyson's Corner where my wife worked when we bought our first home in 1992, but I could afford Manassas. So that's where we bought. And
in this area, the radius has not been so long
no.
for commute. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
That's why I tell people all the time to move to this area. They talk about traffic, and I literally tell them there's nowhere I can't get in Charlottesville any time of the day in about 15 minutes or so. I mean, somehow. So, but
Well, traffic is a big thing, and it's something that we need to do. We need to go ahead and it has to be looked at. You can't have housing without the traffic conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have housing without the education conversation. You can't have housing without the healthcare conversation. That's why the other side of the mountain is so attractive. You have an excellent healthcare system. You have excellent school systems. You have room in the school system.
Atlantic Oakers, they seem to be their foundations are coming out of the ground over there.
And you have the road infrastructure to go ahead and do that. But eventually, that's going to kind of push itself out. You know, Jerry, 87. I remember 1987, 88, 89, 90. Lake Monticello was a vacation community, was a retirement community, but there was folks living out there that were traveling into Charlottesville. It's become, exponentially more because guess what? It's got 4,400 homes
and it's got affordable prices.
It's got affordable prices, and I wonder if Don or anybody could take a look at what's listing out of Lake Monticello and what the number is. But it's hard to find a home for $250, right, Christopher? I mean, you sell Lake Monticello quite a bit.
Yeah, now it's crazy. I mean, even last year it was still somewhat easy to kind of find one for under $250 or around the 200 range, and now it's almost impossible.
So how we it seems like every show we're trying to figure out this problem, right? And as those who watch know that I have a bit of a volaholic problem, and
I don't think this problem's going to be figured out. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here.
Yeah.
I don't think the problem's not going to be figured out.
So then what happens?
I think what's going to happen is, and Michael Plecker, get in here. I think what's going to happen, Charlottesville and Albemarle County, I keep saying this, is going to be, and it's unfortunate, but it's realistic, and we're realists here, okay, is going to be a playground for the super wealthy, and you're going to have a community that's homogenous in its demographic, and then you're going to have a service working force that's driving an hour plus to come to this area to work. University of Virginia.
I'm skewing the super wealthy part down. I'm an Albemarle County resident, a Fontana resident, but
yeah, but you're sitting on a nice pad right now in Fontana it's worth quite a pretty penny, my friend.
Yeah, I'm redoing the garage now and getting ready to do the master bath. So,
driving a super deluxe pickup truck.
Oh yeah, 2018, bought it used. Never buy a new vehicle.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, on paper, you would look like you're doing all right.
Well, that's the case for a lot of folks. I mean, you really don't know until you dig into it. But it's you're right, and I mean, and I don't see the dirt. I don't see where the dirt's going to come from. The only thing that's going to stabilize prices is more competition, and more competition means more dirt, more homes being built, and more longer-term projects like a Spring Creek or some of the larger PUDs. I mean, PUD's a bad word these days with developers, right?
Well, it isn't. Look, I had a really super, jump in, guys, right? I had a really super interesting conversation with somebody over the weekend, and they're not from around here. They moved here. They have a funny accent, a little bit like I do, and they said, "Well, we got all this land. What's the problem?" And I said, "Well, first of all." They were talking about Albemarle County and particularly, and I said, and we talked about this on Friday, the 5% of the growth area that the county, Albemarle County has designated is really not 5%, right? It's very few parcels are left in that, and they're not going to grow it on that end of it. And so if you start, the folks that do not want to grow that, what they don't want to do is they don't want to grow into the rural areas. So how is this going to happen? Unless we, start going more vertical or do the missing middle, this rubber band isn't going to stretch. It's just going to stay there. Does that make any sense, gentlemen?
That's why the skyline of New York and all the cities got taller. You can't go out anymore, so you go up, or denser.
But I don't see this area going up. I mean, us building up doesn't really.
Yeah, so up is like 2 stories, 3 stories,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is up.
They got a 57-story tower planned for Pantops. You didn't? No.
That'd be crazy.
The man's being facetious.
Yeah,
For those that are listening in their car and cannot see Michael Plecker's sarcasm, he's joking.
He's
joking. He's joking. I would say this for the folks that are watching that are saying, well, where are we going to buy homes? Multiple people are saying, where are we going to buy homes here? Can you consider Scottsville? I would consider Scottsville. I would consider the Buckingham side that's close to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
You got some affordability there.
Before
The
bridge.
problem you got is the drive. That's the struggle.
That's reality now.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
gonna
I'm
be the
talking
reality.
about not necessarily the time, it's the road itself.
You're saying 20.
Yeah, it's a 2-lane road all the way up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Well, I come in 20 minutes from Lake Monticello every day, right?
True.
On 53. That's
That's
about
one
as.
of the most affordable communities. I didn't mean to reject, but I think Lake
Sure.
Monticello is a great
Oh, it's phenomenal.
alternative
Absolutely.
But there's no units.
Yeah, look, some folks are not going to like this, but in this case, more is better, right? Somehow or another, they're in the growth areas of these jurisdictions. Because, by the way, Fluvanna County has got the same pressure, right? There's potential projects on the board that probably is going to have a hard time getting approved.
Do we think Chris Fairchild's going to win the election?
Oh, well, of course.
Why?
Because there's nobody else running.
Okay, exactly.
There's a write-in.
Exactly.
He's running.
Is Chris Fairchild going to approve these projects?
I don't know the answer
What's
to
your
that.
hunch?
I know Chris well enough for 30 years that he will look at the facts and make a decision at that.
Oh, you handled that really well. Right?
Really? Thank you.
You handled that well.
I've been doing this for 30
I
years.
know you have. You did the-
But I know that he's a personal friend,
I know
a
he
friend of the
is.
family,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And we have very open debates about this. But he's going to look at the facts. He's going to do it. But that's the argument, right? So what's happening is, let's look at Breezy Hill, right? Breezy Hill's wasn't that in the growth area? I may have that wrong.
Yeah.
It was in the growth area, so let's not talk about Breezy Hill because we don't want to put.
No, we could talk about it.
But
You're talking, not me.
yeah.
You're talking about it.
Usually he gets me into trouble with car, and
I know. This is the one where you get me.
we won't. So forget about Breezy Hill.
You totally can't.
We're not talking about Breezy Hill. But there's projects, if they're not approving projects for increased density in the growth area, where the hell is it going to go? Christopher, just logically, right? You're a super educated guy. If it's not approved in the growth area, it's coming. Where is it going to go?
I mean, you have to go outside the growth area.
There you go.
But if you go outside those growth areas, is that the smartest or the best place to put it?
Great question. What do you think, Mr. Plecker?
It's going to Waynesboro.
It's going to Buckingham.
But more specific to what Christopher said, that's the potential that might happen. The potential might happen is okay, this isn't allowed within the growth areas. We have a comprehensive plan that says this is what we want to do, this is what we want to be, and for whatever reason it doesn't get approved, what's going to happen is the housing is going to come. The jobs are coming, the housing is...
If I'm a developer right now, and I'm not a developer,
Well, you kind of are.
if I'm a developer, I would buy as much land as possible on the Albemarle side in Buckingham County.
Yeah.
Buckingham County, you wait and see. 5 years, 7 years from now is going to be
Might be some river runners.
incredibly hot. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I swim in that sewer. I think some of the bean counters might have struggled with that. At the
Why
moment.
so?
I think the guys that are watching the spreadsheets and the bigger companies are worried about that inflation word.
So you're saying they're going to get out of the development business?
No, I don't know the answer to this, so this is me just spitballing here. I agree with you. If I had a pot full of cash, I would be buying land and sitting on it.
Land bank.
And land bank it and do all that stuff. I think what they're going to do is they're going to start moving to different jurisdictions where exactly right, on the other side of the mountain. You mentioned between Zion's Crossroads and Richmond, they're starting to look into that. Counties that are more welcoming, let's say, in it. Land is a little bit cheaper. That's where they're going to go.
Eagle Construction made the jump from Richmond all the way to Blacksburg. Because if I was a developer and had a pot full of money, I would go build housing in every university town there is because of the competition to try to get housing and the prices they're able to get. That makes it unaffordable for a lot of people up in school. But
When the Suttons and Tiger Fuel, and we love the Suttons, the Sutton family, when they're buying land in shopping centers all over Scottsville, what does that tell you?
Yeah, there's smart money's going there, right? That's what it's telling you. And I think
Those boys don't make mistakes.
No, and I think you're going to see Scottsville. You're going to start seeing these outer rim, for lack of a better term. You know, it's going to happen. Now the question becomes, from an elected official's perspective in some of these outside counties, do I put them in my growth area or do I not put them in my growth area? And if I restrict it in my growth area, they're still coming. They're just going to buy 100 acres next to that and do a by right subdivision.
That's right.
So Fluvanna County, most people don't know this, but under A1 agricultural, there is what's called a cluster development option. So if I've got 100 acres, you can put about 75 or 80, just like Breezy Hill, by right, lots in it in a cluster development. You've got to have, create central water and sewer and all this kind of different stuff in it, but it's very doable on that end of it. And that's what's going to happen. And it's just going to keep on leapfrogging out unless there's a quicker path to developing, and this is my personal opinion, in the growth areas. What do you think, Christopher? I've been talking.
No, I mean, I agree with that. And I think the biggest thing with, Fluvanna and Louisa is the fact that the fiber internet is going all over the place. So if you are to have
Yona just said that too.
If you have
on the train.
She's watching.
If you have a place that is able to have 100 acres and you can put 75 units into it, and you also know that you can put fiber internet out there, and water and sewer is easy to do, I mean.
Well, none of that is ever easy.
Well, I'm just saying, the simple idea of it.
The money's going to figure it out.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And the market is going to figure it out.
Yeah.
school budgets are a constraint.
Talk about that.
Well, I mean, build it and they will come. I mean, one of the first things I think that they start to look at in Augusta County, had to start looking at this because of the growth in Fishersville and Stewart's Draft, is school overcrowding and school funding. And that was one of the things that slowed developers down, or they used to slow developers down, was the fact that they weren't going to approve any more subdivisions of a certain nature within a couple of the school districts over there. My old school, Wilson Memorial, which Fishersville fed into, they stopped approving for a bit because of the school growth.
And when did they stop that?
Well, I mean, it's been a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's when they did that,
But they improved the schools. I'll throw this out to you because this is from your side of where you grew up. I had a really super interesting conversation with elected officials in Waynesboro and Augusta County about development over there. And they said something to me which really put me on my heels. Their number one concern is healthcare. Because, as Jerry knows, what's the third location in the country for retirees to come? Your side of it.
Realtor magazine.
And they weren't worried about schools. They weren't about infrastructure. They weren't about that. They're worrying about me coming there and putting too much stress on the medical system there.
We should talk Gordonsville. We've gone a lot of this show without talking Gordonsville.
Great.
Friend of the program, and you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. We got a couple of friends of the program.
Friend of the program who's tied to Gordonsville, Chris Henry.
Chris Henry out there. Yeah. So
it's making an impact in Gordonsville.
It's huge.
Bringing his money to Gordonsville and his vision to Gordonsville.
Without a doubt. So what do you guys think about Gordonsville?
I was there yesterday having an ice cold IPA at the Ice House.
Champion Ice House is great,
Champion
right?
Ice House. My wife and I enjoyed Halloween there. It's an empty nester Halloween.
I wouldn't know nothing about that. What do you think about Gordonsville?
I mean, Gordonsville's it's a great area. It's a good location. I think always the thing that the question I have is just the travel or the roads.
But Christopher, if the infrastructure is there, the fiber infrastructure is there,
Yeah.
do I even need to travel? What do you think about that?
Well, I guess that's true. I mean, if you're in a place where you don't have to leave for work, or you're only going a short distance to get to the store or whatever else, then absolutely. I mean, I love the downtown area of Gordonsville. It looks great. It's got Champion Ice House. He wants a barbecue. That's right down the street too. I mean, there's some great amenities in
Patch, there's
Gordonsville.
another Patch Brewery opened up.
Andre Xavier? Yeah.
My wife's words yesterday when we were walking in the street was, what a nice quaint town this is.
Neil Williamson, we haven't forgotten about you, buddy. Well Hung Vineyard and Restaurant.
Well Hung
Neil.
Vineyard.
Neil Williamson, that's a great restaurant. Make sure you support Well Hung in Gordonsville as well.
But you bring up a point, right? You can go you can go there several weekends in a row or several visits in a row and never hit the same place twice.
Oh yeah.
And it's growing in that. And matter of fact, we have a mutual friend and client of ours that may be looking out in that way to open up another restaurant. Jerry and I. So it's.
Wait, we're opening up a restaurant?
Pardon?
We're opening a restaurant?
No. A mutual friend and
okay.
client.
All right.
He got nervous.
Yeah, I'm not opening it.
No, we'll help other people
Yeah.
do it, but we won't do it. No, a mutual friend of ours I don't want to drop it out, but a friend of the show.
I think that's a great idea, J.O.
There you go.
Okay, I'll leave it like that.
And we're playing secret stuff here.
No.
So we've kind of went around the horn here a little bit, and this is a lot of fun to do this end of it. But let's talk 2022. Let's talk crystal ball stuff, guys. Right? Christopher, what do you see 2022 being like from a real estate perspective? What do you think is going to happen there?
I think that we see a small uptick in inventory. I don't think we're going to see a huge difference in between this year and next year. Interest rates are going to go up, so it may change a little bit of the buyer pool. And I think we're going to have some more inventory, so it's not going to be as crazy as 2021. But I think that it's going to take us until probably 2023, 2024 for us to kind of maybe balance out a little bit and not be as nuts as we are right now.
So I just don't see, in order for inventory to grow, we need to produce more.
You agree with that take? Chris's take?
That's kind of what I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I just think for inventory to markedly increase, we need to create more inventory.
Right.
And the more we create more inventory, it'll loosen up that. But I'll throw it to the both of you guys. So Jerry's spot on. There's six-figure jobs coming here, a ton of them.
Dude,
A ton of them.
they're admitting more students than they ever have before. They're hiring more UVA people than they have before. The building that we talked about by Friendship Court, it's got a computer firm that's opening up. That's hiring 70-plus people, six-figure salaries, all from outside the area. Wait till the Code building is finished, the Center of Developing Entrepreneurs. Wait till Dairy Central.
Well, Dairy Central is up and operating.
All
They
the
have
people.
They're moving in, but then you have the Apex building.
Apex building. I mean, we have thousands of people coming here.
So jump in.
Well, I was just going to say she give me a call.
Well said, Michael.
I was waiting for somebody to say that. Nobody said
They
that
called
just
me
yet.
because Pantops is a gorgeous location.
Plecker sells Pantops.
Plecker sells Pantops.
Okay, here's a question.
So
you
what's
should
the
ask.
problem with Pantops?
So-
We're talking about development. Oh, we're done. There's no more single-family home development that's going to take place in Pantops.
Even townhomes,
You
right?
got a little bit of dirt left on Pantops.
But it's just infill stuff. It's not, we're done.
Not
Unless-
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Unless the farm on the left, just north of Dardentown Park sells, which it will not.
Yeah.
That farm ain't selling.
Well, I'm not going to, no.
You want to offer some
I'm
insight into that?
not going to go there. It's just she ain't selling.
Yeah, she's not selling.
But Pantops for residential development is done. The only thing that's going to help the Pantops market getting more listings is that now the Cascadia has been there for a while. and Highland Ridge has been there for a while. There may be some of that's 5 and 6 year itch, 7-year itch for people to start listing homes that are going to be moving out.
Well, that's the point I was just going to make, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that might help Pantops, but there is no more inventory that can be developed in Pantops residentially for the foreseeable future. That's all on the other side of 64, down near
Here's the
Chris's area.
Here's the pushback on that, Christopher. People aren't moving in 5 and 7 years.
They're 10.
Moving in 10 years.
Yeah, they're staying longer.
So you're not even going to have the swap of inventory that you normally used to have, right? Where somebody's just kind of outgrown a home and they're putting it on the market and they're moving on. You're not having this swap because there's no place to go.
Right.
And we just keep on going to this inventory. And you know, God bless the folks at Glenmore. They came in and they did the right thing. God bless America. They were able to do that. But we're not getting any more inventory there.
Yeah.
So somewhere it's got to give, right?
Here's a question I have for you. We should close on this.
Oh, look at that.
When does the market dynamic shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market?
You mean like in?
Everybody's looking at me.
Well, I mean, you mean like in the time period?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And what's required for that to happen?
Well, obviously we need more inventory for that to happen.
Have you ever watched the movie Margin Call?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I hate to bring that up, but typically it's those resets that flip the market of this nature.
So you're saying you need a crash?
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay.
We don't like the word crash.
Well, I mean, that's what you're
correction,
alluding to.
a market correction.
You need a balancing.
You need a balancing. If things are going to have to get cheaper for developers to be able to produce homes, and they're going to have to be able to project out what a home is actually going to cost them when it's done, so that they feel comfortable maybe investing in more dirt and developing some communities. Right now, you don't know what the house is actually going to cost, what your profit's going to be until it's done. Whereas before, you could project within a certain variance what you were going to make on a house. But yeah, so I think it's a combination of things. It's going to have to be a reset to kind of restart things a bit, to get people in on the bottom, and then, yeah, so.
I've been reading article after article after article written by very smart folks, very smart PhDs. Nobody is predicting a downturn, which in itself makes me nervous.
Well, and we should also emphasize that this market is a little bit insulated from downturns and macro trends because of the University of Virginia.
And even, very, very good point, Jerry, even, and Christopher, even in the great time of unpleasantness, right, we didn't really...
It didn't hit us like it hit other places.
Now, but it did hit the outer rings,
Yeah.
right? You know,
I
it
think
did
that's
hit,
where you're going to see it.
well,
Richmond increased. I was selling new home construction in the west side of Richmond. In 2009, I started selling new home construction again, of all years.
Heartbeat.
But they were consolidating from people all over the country back to Altria, Capital One. They were bringing in people. We were selling 5 houses a month in 2009 in the 800 range.
Wow.
But
West side of Richmond's nice. There's a lot of stuff to do. It's getting a little congested now.
well, that's the whole point. It's
Yeah.
coming this way, right?
Yeah.
You know, look, I don't know.
Oilville.
That sounds like a
Oilville's not bad, man.
I actually just drove through there the other day.
It's right in the middle of Richmond and Charlottesville. And the land, the dirt is cheap.
Which county is that in again?
that's in Goochland.
It's Goochland, that's what I thought.
Oilville is
Yeah.
right on the border of Goochland County. I stop there to get gas all the time at the Exxon because it's not crowded.
Yeah,
But
right on
that's all changing.
64.
But is
Yeah.
there infrastructure there?
I mean, you're...
Oh, did you see when they pushed out the lanes on 64 well out past Will?
Well, I got that part of it.
He means the
you
water
mean the water
and the
and all
fiber.
Well, yeah, that stuff is just right down the road to Manic and Sabbath. It's not far away at all. Eagle basically has developed that entire area out there, so.
So, gentlemen, we are well over
Yeah.
our time here, and this is always a lot of fun. We only threw a couple of bullet points out and just sit around and have a great conversation. Tomorrow, tune in. We're going to have the benevolent dictator in of Quentin Beckham to talk about in great detail the car report. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of level of fun happening at the same time. But thank you for the time. Thank you for coming in here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You know, I don't think we solved any problems, but here's my solution to the problem. We got to continue the conversation.
Yeah, you got to elect the right people.
Elections matters.
Tomorrow's the election.
Tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that up. Please
Yeah.
go out and vote if you haven't voted yet.
Please vote. Please vote. You have the majority of local elections uncontested tomorrow. What do you think about that?
This is why we did the coffee with the candidates.
Uncontested elections are no bueno for anyone.
Why is that, sir?
In fact, 9 elections in Charlottesville and Albemarle County are uncontested. 9. Wow. And the reason is competition breeds accountability, and accountability breeds honesty and the best from everybody.
Everybody's got to raise their game up.
Yeah, competition is good. It's
Without
called
a doubt.
capitalism.
It's without a doubt.
Keith Smith, Michael Plecker, Christopher Eagle, a lot of the foundation of Yes Realty Partners. Yes Realty Partners, a trusted name in the game, closure title and settlement company. We're one of the proud partners of the Monday Market Monitor, along with Allied Property Management, Dave Fafara and Shenandoah Joe's. Tomorrow, Quentin Beckham, the president of the Charlottesville Albemarle Association of Realtors, in the house to talk about what? The
Q3 report
Q3
from CAR.
2021 report.
There's some really great stats in there that I really want to dig into with him tomorrow.
I'll give you a snapshot. There's not much inventory and prices.
No, the interesting thing was about the overall economy. That's some interesting stuff.
Tomorrow,
Unemployment
guys,
is 3.3%.
That's not bad, right?
That's freaking
Yeah,
low.
that's not bad.
Well,
That's very low.
I think they stopped counting a lot of those people.
Okay, show's over.
10:15 a.m. tomorrow for Real Talk, guys. You guys have a good
Hey,
morning.
thanks, guys. Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Excellent work.
Thank you.